Mel was a little white kitten with bright green eyes and a curious heart. Every day, she played happily in her garden, chasing butterflies and rolling in the soft grass. Her home was cozy and safe, surrounded by colorful flowers and singing birds. It was her little world, full of familiar scents and friendly creatures. But Mel was different from the other kittens. She always wondered what lay beyond her garden. What is out there? She would often think, staring through the wooden fence that marked the end of her playground. She dreamed of big adventures and places she had never seen before. One sunny morning, as Mel chased a bright yellow butterfly, she heard a loud noise. Vroom. Vroom, it was the delivery truck that came every week. Mel's eyes sparkled with curiosity. The truck was big, colorful, and full of mysterious boxes. Where did it go after leaving her street? Without thinking twice, Mel jumped towards the truck, her paws barely touching the ground. The butterfly flew away, but Mel was already too fascinated by the truck to notice. She tiptoed closer, her nose twitching as she sniffed the air. The back of the truck was open, revealing a stack of boxes. One box had a shiny ribbon that danced in the wind. Mesmerized by the ribbon, Mel leaped into the truck. Her tiny paws slipped on the smooth surface, and she tumbled behind the boxes, giggling softly. Suddenly, the engine roared to life. Mel's ears perked up. Her heart raced as the truck began to move. She tried to jump out, but it was too late. The street outside grew smaller and smaller. Mel peeked out from behind the boxes, her eyes wide with fear and excitement. She was leaving her garden, her safe little world, and heading somewhere completely unknown. The truck rumbled along the bumpy road, shaking the boxes around Mel. She held her breath, her tiny paws gripping the side of a box as she peeked out cautiously. The world outside was changing fast. The familiar green trees and colorful flowers disappeared, replaced by tall buildings and endless rows of concrete. The truck finally stopped with a jolt. Mel's heart skipped a beat as the engine went silent. The back door opened with a loud creak, and bright light flooded in. A man jumped out and started unloading the boxes, whistling a cheerful tune. Mel's eyes widened. She was surrounded by noise, people, and strange, gigantic machines that zoomed by at incredible speeds. What is this place? She whispered, her voice trembling. She felt so small, so lost. Carefully, Mel tiptoed out of the truck, her paws touching the cold, hard ground. The pavement felt rough under her soft pads. She looked around, trying to find something familiar, but everything was big and noisy. Cars honked loudly, and people rushed past without noticing the little kitten. Mel's heart raced. She took a step back, her tail curling with fear. Where am I? She meowed, but no one heard her. Her ears drooped as she realized she was all alone in this strange new world. Suddenly, a voice spoke behind her. Hello, little kitty. Are you lost? Mel turned around and saw a dog with messy fur and kind eyes. He had a playful grin on his face and his tail wagged slowly. I don't know where I am, Mel admitted, her voice shaking. This place is so big and so noisy, the dog's eyes softened. Don't worry. My name is Max. I've lived here my whole life. I can help you find your way. Mel's eyes brightened with hope. She wasn't alone after all. Really? You would help me? Max nodded, his grin widening. Of course. No one should be lost in this big city. Come on, let's stick together. Mel's heart felt a little lighter. Maybe, just maybe, she could find her way back home with Max by her side. Max trotted ahead, his tail wagging with confidence. Mel followed closely, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. Everything was so loud and fast. Cars zoomed by with flashing lights. People walked quickly while talking on shiny little boxes, and tall buildings touched the sky. Max looked back and saw Mel's worried face. He slowed down, walking by her side. "Don't be scared," he said gently. "This is just the city. It's always busy and noisy, but it's not so bad once you get used to it." Mel took a deep breath and nodded. "Okay, but it's all so big." Max laughed, his ears flopping. "Yes, it is. But it's also full of amazing places. Look, over there." He pointed with his nose to a wide street with colorful shops. "This is a street. People walk and drive here all day long." Mel repeated softly, "Street." She looked around, watching the cars and people moving quickly. "It's very busy." Max smiled, pleased to see her learning. "Yes, busy streets are normal here. And those are cars. They go fast, but they always follow the road." Mel's eyes followed a red car zooming by. "Cars," she whispered, memorizing the word. "They are very fast." Max nodded. "Right. And up there, look." He pointed at the tall buildings surrounding them. "Those are buildings. People live and work inside them." Mel tilted her head, amazed. "Buildings. They are so tall." Max's tail wagged with excitement. "Yes, the city is full of tall buildings. You get used to them." They continued walking, Max teaching Mel about everything they saw. He showed her the lights that changed colors at the street corners. "These are traffic lights. They tell cars when to stop and when to go." Mel watched in awe as the light turned green and the cars moved forward. "That's so smart," she exclaimed. Max chuckled. "Yep, the city is smart and busy. But it can be fun too." Mel started to feel a little braver. She repeated the words Max taught her, practicing quietly to herself. "Street, cars, buildings, traffic lights." Max looked at her proudly. "You're learning fast, Mel." Mel's heart swelled with joy. Even in this big, noisy city, she was learning and growing. Maybe this adventure wasn't so scary after all, especially with Max by her side. Mel's confidence was growing with each new word she learned. But as they continued their walk, they reached a narrow, dark alley. The tall buildings blocked out the sunlight, casting long shadows that danced on the cold walls. Mel's fur stood on end. She took a step back, her eyes wide with fear. I don't like this place," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It's too dark and cold." Max looked at her kindly. "It's just a shortcut, Mel. It looks scary, but it's safe. I pass through here all the time." Mel shook her head, her tail curling tightly around her body. "No, I'm afraid. What if there are monsters in there?" Max chuckled softly. "There are no monsters, Mel. Just shadows. And shadows can't hurt you." He took a step forward, his paws echoing softly on the stone floor. "Come on, I'm right here. You're not alone." Mel watched him walk into the darkness. Her heart pounded loudly in her chest. She wanted to be brave, but her paws felt heavy. She took a deep breath, her eyes never leaving Max. Max turned around, his eyes gentle and patient. "Don't be afraid. I am with you." Mel's ears perked up. His voice was calm and steady. She looked at the shadows again. They were just shapes on the wall, nothing more. She took a small step forward, her body trembling. Then another step, and another. Before she knew it, she was standing beside Max in the middle of the alley. The shadows were still there, but they didn't seem as scary anymore. She looked up at Max, her eyes full of wonder. I I did it. I walked through the shadows. Max's tail wagged proudly. Yes, you did. You were very brave, Mel. Mel's heart swelled with pride. The fear that had gripped her was fading, replaced by a warm feeling of courage. Maybe shadows aren't so bad, she admitted, her voice soft. Max grinned. Exactly. Sometimes the things that look scary are just things we don't understand yet. But when you face them, they become a little less frightening. Mel looked back at the alley they had just crossed. It still looked dark and cold, but it no longer made her feel afraid. She stood a little taller, her tail uncurling. I was afraid. But now I'm not, Max beamed. That's called bravery. And you have lots of it. Mel smiled, her heart lighter than ever. She was learning more than just words. She was learning to be brave. After leaving the dark alley, Mel and Max continued their journey through the bustling city. The noise was loud and constant, but Mel felt braver now. She stayed close to Max, watching and learning as they walked. Soon, they reached a large green space surrounded by tall trees. Birds sang cheerfully from the branches, and people laughed and played on the soft grass. Mel's eyes sparkled with delight. What is this place? She asked, her voice full of wonder. Max's tail wagged excitedly. This is a park. People come here to play and relax. It's my favorite place in the city. Mel's ears perked up. Park. It's so beautiful and peaceful. She took a deep breath, feeling the fresh air fill her lungs. I like it here, Max laughed. I knew you would. Look over there. He pointed to a group of children playing with a ball. They are playing, just like you play in your garden. Mel watched the children, her eyes bright with curiosity. Play, she repeated, a smile spreading across her face. I love to play. Max nodded. Everyone loves to play. And over there, people are relaxing on the grass. They are resting and enjoying the sunshine. Mel looked at the people lying on colorful blankets, some reading books, others simply closing their eyes. Relax. It looks nice, Max grinned. Yes, parks are for fun and relaxation. It's a good place to feel happy and safe. Mel's heart filled with warmth. After all the noise and fear, this place felt calm and joyful. She ran towards the grass, her paws sinking into the soft earth. She rolled on her back, looking up at the blue sky, and laughed. This is fun. Max joined her, his tongue hanging out as he playfully nudged her with his nose. See? The city isn't so scary when you know where to go. Mel agreed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. You're right, Max. This park is wonderful. They spent the afternoon playing and relaxing, chasing butterflies and watching the birds. Mel repeated the words she had learned, practicing with Max. Park, play, relax. Happy, Max praised her every time. You're learning so fast, Mel. Mel's heart swelled with pride. She felt safe and happy with Max by her side. Even in this huge city, she was starting to feel at home. As the sun began to set, the park glowed with golden light. Mel looked at Max, her eyes full of gratitude. Thank you, Max, for teaching me, for being my friend. Max's eyes softened. You're welcome, Mel. I'm glad we met. Friends help each other. Mel smiled, feeling her fears melt away. She had learned new words, discovered beautiful places, and made a true friend. Her adventure in the city was turning out to be more wonderful than she had ever imagined. As the sun sank lower in the sky, painting the park with shades of orange and pink, Mel felt a soft ache in her heart. She had learned so much today, but she missed her garden, her cozy home, and her mother's warm fur. Max noticed her sad eyes and asked gently, "Are you thinking about home?" Mel nodded, her voice soft. "Yes, I miss my garden. And my mom." Max's eyes were kind. "I understand. Home is a special place. But don't worry, Mel. I'll help you find your way back." Mel's eyes widened with hope. You can do that?" Max's tail wagged confidently. "Of course. I've lived in this city my whole life. I know every street and corner. We just need to find the delivery truck that brought you here." Mel's heart raced with excitement. "Yes, the truck. It's big and colorful, with lots of boxes." Max grinned. "Then let's go." Together, they left the park, retracing their steps through the busy streets. Mel was no longer afraid. With Max by her side, she felt safe and brave. She repeated the words she had learned, pointing and practicing as they walked. Street, cars, buildings, park, home. After a while, they found the truck parked near a shop, its back door wide open. Mel's eyes sparkled with joy. "That's the truck. It will take me home." Max's face softened. "Looks like it's time to say goodbye." Mel's heart sank. She didn't want to leave her new friend. I don't want to go. But I miss my mom." Max nodded, his eyes gentle. "I understand. And your mom is probably worried about you. But don't be sad, Mel. You'll always carry this adventure in your heart. And who knows? Maybe we'll meet again someday." Mel's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled bravely. "You taught me so much, Max. About the city, about being brave, and about friendship." "Thank you." Max's eyes sparkled. "You're welcome, Mel. And remember, even if we're far apart, friends are always connected." Here, he gently tapped his paw on her chest. In the heart, Mel felt warmth spread through her. She hugged Max tightly, her fur brushing against his. "I'll never forget you, Max." Max's voice was soft. "And I'll never forget you, Mel. Be safe. And be brave." With a final smile, Mel climbed into the truck. She looked back, waving her tiny paw as Max waved with his tail. The truck's engine roared to life, and it began to move. Mel watched Max grow smaller and smaller, but his words echoed in her heart. "Be brave. And be happy." The city slowly faded behind her, replaced by green fields and colorful flowers. Her heart raced as familiar sights came into view. And then she saw in her garden. The truck stopped, and Mel jumped out, running as fast as her tiny paws could go. "Home," she cried joyfully. "I'm home." Her mother appeared at the door, her eyes wide with relief and love. "Mel. Oh, Mel. I was so worried." She hugged Mel tightly, her fur warm and comforting. "Where did you go?" Mel's eyes sparkled with excitement as she began to tell her adventure. "I went to the big city. I saw streets, cars, and tall buildings. And I met Max. He taught me so much." Her mother's eyes were full of wonder. "You were so brave, Mel." Mel smiled proudly. "I was scared, but Max helped me. And now, I'm not afraid anymore." Her mother kissed her softly. "That's because you found your courage, my little adventurer." Mel's heart swelled with love and happiness. She looked back at the city in the distance and whispered, "Goodbye, Max. My friend. My hero." As the sun set behind the hills, Mel curled up in her warm bed, her mother's fur wrapped around her. She closed her eyes, dreaming of streets, parks, and a brave dog named Max. She was home, but her heart would always remember the city and the friend who taught her how to be brave.